Hello, everybody. How are we today? Do we have voice? We do have voice. Thank you. What's up, Super Game Bros? You, Vaughn, Bullet X. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I do have arms, contrary to popular belief. Is it blowing your mind, chicken? How is the voice volume today? I messed with the mic a little bit. Hopefully you guys can't hear me breathing. If you can, let me know, and I will mess with it. I'm 5'11". Thanks, Minecraft. Sounds great. Cool. Yes, there's a Christmas tree way in the back there. Alright, so we're going to be doing braising today and do some pretty easy stuff. Pretty much all the things I'm going to cook today, if you can boil water, you can pull off, which is great. It's like you're watching the Food Network. Alright. Hit to turn your speakers. I can turn the boost up on my mic a little bit, but I mean, frankly, that's the only noise that I have going on. It's definitely louder than it was yesterday. Alright, well, first thing we're going to do is wash our hands, because that's what you do every time you're going to cook. Alright, so we're going to braise some pork today, do black beans and some quinoa. I'm also going to do an apple slaw as well. We'll have a bit of downtime, so I'll actually be able to read the chat pretty good today. But for starters, we got our black beans right here. Always put them in a colander and rinse them. Whenever you cook beans, these are just dry black beans. Super simple to cook. You always want to look through and see if you can find any rocks, because if there's rocks in there, that's how you crack a tooth. So you don't want to do that. So literally, if you can boil water, you can cook all this stuff. So we just rinse off the beans, put them in a pot, fill them up with water, and then we're going to add some salt and like garlic powder, and that's pretty much it. And then all we have to do is boil them until they're done. This is how I cook my black beans. If you're going to cook them classically, you're supposed to soak them overnight in water and do all this other stuff. I just like to cook them. And then I mash them at the end, and you have really nice black beans. How I cooked them at the last job that I had. And it's very simple, and they taste good. You don't have to go through a bunch of extra steps. So, contrary to popular belief, salt does not make water boil faster. It makes water hold a higher boiling temperature. So it helps it keep its boil. It does not help it to get to a boil. So that's step one. Just a little bit of garlic powder and salt, and that's really all we're going to do with that. Alright. Let's talk about braising real quick. Braising is a very simple way to cook stuff. You don't have to be a good cook to braise stuff. I think we all love delicious, tender meat. You can do this with chicken, pork, beef, anything. Anything you can do it with. So I have a pork tenderloin here. You can do this with pork shoulder or any even really cheap piece of meat. This is just what I had in my freezer, so this is what we're going to use. You are not too late at all. We've only been going for about 3 minutes or so. So this is a pork tenderloin. We're going to cut this bad boy open and talk about how to clean meat. I have a boning knife here. You can do the same thing with a chef knife or even a paring knife. It just takes a little bit more work. Okay. So when you're looking at a piece of meat, there's two things you look for. You got fat, like this piece right here. This is fat. But what you don't want is this silver skin stuff. This stuff right here. Let's see if I can hold it up there. That is mostly inedible. It's extremely hard. It'll never break down no matter how long you cook it. So we want to get that off of there. Just a little strip right here on both pieces. So to get that off, you just slide your knife under, pull it out the edge, and you hold it up, and you basically keep it pressed up against, and that way you lose as little meat as possible. You see we lost a little bit. We lost a little bit up here, but that's okay. And I mean, honestly, you don't have to do this. It's just an extra step that I do because, well, that's how I was trained to do it. All this fat on the outside is perfectly fine though. If there's any big chunks, you can take it off. Put our little chunk of silver skin down here. It's a pretty easy way to cut yourself too, so make sure you have the safest way to do it is with a dry towel. You hold on to the end piece with a dry towel. Alright, that'll do. That meat slap. Okay, we're not going to cut this into any crazy portions or anything like that. Since we're braising, basically what braising is you cook something at a lower temperature, basically submerged in water. And what happens is the meat gets super tough, and then it breaks down and gets super tender. So you can do this, like I said, with any type of meat. You can do it with chicken, beef, pork, you name it, you can do it. So we're going to do pretty big chunks of this, just like this. And what we're going to do is sear it off, and then we'll get it braising. This does take a while. It probably takes about an hour and a half to break down the meat fully, but all you have to do is set it and forget it. As long as you have the right temperature inside of the braising pot, all you have to do is let it sit. I'll go one more. Alright, so we got a mountain of meat now. Everybody loves a mountain of meat. Okay, one thing I should have done before I started was get my seasoning ready, but too little, too late. So the holiday season's been really busy for me, so I don't have an ingredients list posted or anything. I'll post one with the YouTube video and make sure I make a highlight with the ingredients. All this stuff is pretty simple. I might, hopefully by next week I'll have a system set up where I can have the recipe list posted within a couple days of the previous show, so everybody's prepared. But that is not the case this week since I just didn't have time. Alright, so we're going to be searing the pork, so we're going to use a pretty decent amount of oil in the pan, just enough to really coat the top. So we want to get a nice browning on all the meat. Anytime you can brown meat, you want to, because it just adds additional flavor. In fact, that's where the majority of most flavor comes from, is from browning it properly. Okay. So what I should have done before I started was grabbed a container and mixed my seasoning together. That way I'm not cross-contaminating with the meat and the seasonings and all that stuff. So let's do salt and a little bit of pepper. Keep it nice and simple. Okay, the cool thing about braising too is since you're cooking in liquid, it's a great time for you to experiment with stuff that you want to cook with. Like everybody always asks, well, how do you make flavor profiles and what seasoning should you use with what? And a good way to figure out what you like is just to experiment with it. And braising is a great way to do that, because no matter what you put in the pot, it's not going to taste bad. It may not taste the way you want it to, but it's never going to taste bad when you cook it that way. It's pretty hard to mess up braising meat. Okay, so we want to go about 75-25 on the salt and pepper mix. So that looks pretty good right about there. Need some Jack Daniels and bacon? I concur. So we're just going to lay all this out. And now how much seasoning you get on the outside is not all that important, so it's going to go in a pot anyways, which will save us the trouble. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit, rinse off my hands again, and then once the pan is hot enough, we'll do it. The main thing you want to worry about when browning meat is you got to make sure your pan is nice and hot to start with. If your pan's not nice and hot, you run into consistency issues, or it'll never actually get browned. Granted, this is just an extra step that you don't really have to take to make delicious food, but like I said, anytime you have the chance to brown something or caramelize it, it's just going to equal more flavor in the end. It'll be Bashi time after this, because I need to be the Bashi. I don't even want to be the Bashi anymore. I need to be the Bashi. Okay, I'm also going to open up this window because I don't want to set off the fire alarm. It's really loud. Okay. Yeah, we're making a super meat boy right now. Okay, then we're going to move this over here. And we're done with the knife. This burner is broken for me. It's about time we got a new stovetop. Well, thank you, Seamus. We're growing the beard out for the entire 2 years of my challenge, so there is much more beard to come. We are making braised pork, black beans, and quinoa, which is a really complete, high-protein meal. Somebody called me a vegetarian because I didn't cook meat last time. I don't always cook meat, but when I do, I like to do it upright. Okay, so we're going to give this a little test, see if it's ready. That's definitely ready. That nice little sizzle is exactly what you want. Now we don't have to worry about over or undercooking the meat here because it's not even close to complete. We're going to stick it in a pot with water or stock on this occasion for about an hour and a half. So all we're looking for is a nice color on the outside. If you shake it a little bit after you add it in, it usually stops it from sticking to the pan. Alright, so that's it for the meat for the moment, and now we see our beans are boiling, so I can move those to a back burner and probably get the meat to the front burner, which is considerably hotter. The only thing you need to worry about when you're cooking meat or anything in oil is that it doesn't get over 500 degrees. If it gets over 500 degrees, that's when you run into a problem. That's when fires start. So we're going to move this over here, which is a much hotter burner. That off. I'll talk to you guys for a second. The beard looks even bigger in 3D. Got your 3D glasses on right now. I did. It was last Saturday. We're going to do, oh wait, was it Saturday? We're going to do Cooking with Frag every single Saturday. Yes, we got black beans. All we did was add them with water and salt. Water, salt, and garlic powder, and we're just boiling them until they're done. Where'd my lighter go? Yes. It's really weird. Even though I don't smoke anymore, I always have a lighter in my pocket. It's just habit from being in kitchens. Always, always, always have a lighter in my pocket. Tonight we are cooking braised pork, black beans, and quinoa. Yeah, go for it, Tarkor. Feel free to give away whatever you want. Now we're cooking with gas, that's right. Oh god, black pepper's gonna make me sneeze. Okay, so I can get the other stuff ready for the braising. It's gonna do onion, garlic, and throw whatever. Like I said, you can throw whatever you want in the braising pot, and you're really not gonna mess up what you're cooking. You're just gonna come out with tender meat at the end. The more stuff you add, the more flavorful it's gonna be, of course, but it's not a necessity to even really add anything. It's just about getting the meat tender. So we're not really going to use this stuff, so there's that. No, there is no click to tweet. I didn't even tweet out the stream today. We just kind of we're going for it. Feel free to tweet about it if you want to, but just wanted to keep this nice and chill, at least for this week. It's been a long couple days. Okay, so we got all that, and now we can hear that our meat is dried up a little bit. So we got to find some tongs. I'll use 2 forks, like the amateur. So we got that nice browning on the outside of the pork. We're going to try to cover all the edges in that color. That right there is exactly what you want. Oh, it burns. Okay, we're going to turn this down just a little bit because I don't want to start a fire. That'd be bad. So what kind of stuff would you guys like to see? It is better to turn it too little in Cryptio. The darker brown you get on the outside, the more flavor you're going to develop. So you're better off waiting too long. It's extremely hard to burn it in the oil. So you're better off turning it less. Even if you only get a really nice sear on two of the 4 sides, you're much better off. Solgren. Yeah, I'll order some Solgren from Amazon. We can cook some oatmeal. I'm afraid I don't cook very many desserts, Shadow Kid. I very much prefer savory foods. I don't even really eat dessert, so it's probably not going to happen here. Chicken cordon bleu, I can definitely do that. I make a good chicken cordon bleu. I was classically French trained, but I don't believe in putting yourself in a box like that. I'll cook anything. That shat. Hot damn. You guys are on it. Okay, so we see we got this nice color on the pork. We want to make sure we get that on at least 2 of the sides of the pork, and then we will go from there. So all we're adding to the pot for braising is I'm just going to add 1 whole onion and a couple cloves of garlic, and then we'll add seasoning before we get it going. Duck would definitely be something I'd do as well. I wouldn't really consider that an amateur cook's meal, but duck is my favorite poultry, so definitely like to do that one some justice. So to crack the garlic, this is the easiest way to peel garlic for me. Use the butt of your hand, not the palm of your hand. Also point your knife down so you never cut yourself. Just smash it and the peel will fall right off. Duck is absolutely amazing. It is so tasty. Also, duck fat could be qualified as god butter. It is like the most amazing cooking medium in the world, in my opinion. What I like most in duck fat is Brussels sprouts, and I don't even really like Brussels sprouts, but Brussels sprouts cooked in duck fat are just so good. This started not that long ago, maybe 15 minutes. Oh, this one didn't peel very well. Alright, so we got all that peeled up, and I'm really just going to throw these in there whole. I'm not even going to worry about chopping them up, or, well, dropping them on the floor is probably not good. Come on now. Come back here. You get in the trash, sir. Okay, so usually when you hear less sizzling, that means your meat's about ready to get turned. So we're right there. Could have gone a little bit longer on that, but looking pretty good overall. Alright, this is a good time to do an example of what good browning is and what isn't. So, pull this over to the camera. This right here, that's the color you want, that super dark brown. This color is fine, but you're still losing out on some flavor because of that. But definitely that super dark brown is the color that you want. And it's very hard to burn the meat when you're cooking it this way, since we're not actually trying to cook it all the way through. If we were trying to cook the meat all the way through, that kind of sear on the outside would be a problem, because we'd never be able to get it all the way cooked before it gets burned. So you can do this with pork shoulder, you can do it with beef roast, you can do it with chicken, whatever you want. So we're just going to spoon this right into our pot. And as I said, this is a completely unnecessary step, but not even a step you have to take to have delicious tender meat. You don't have to go to to this level to do it, you're still going to have a tender piece of meat if you cook this way. And the best part about cooking this way is you can literally set it and forget it. You come back an hour and a half later and you have a good meal. So you don't have to be a professional cook to braise meat. It is very, very simple. Alright, so we got all that in there, just meat, onions, and garlic. And we're just going to throw whatever the hell we want to in here. Which is the other great thing about braising. It's really hard to fuck it up. Pardon my language, but it is. It's really hard. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of seasonings in here. Let's go with some white pepper, sure. And cumin. Okay. So, got some chicken stock here. Yes, you can make your own stock, but it's a major pain. So I usually just do this. You want it to be at least 3/4 covered in liquid. So one of these will be just about perfect. I'm just going to throw stuff in here. And this is what I encourage you to do as well, because you don't know what a flavor profile tastes like until you do it yourself. So experiment. Try out stuff. Figure out what you like. I'm going to do a little bit of cayenne. Obviously not too much. Cayenne's pretty potent stuff. Even for a pot this size, that's about all I'm willing to do. We're going to go white pepper. That's way too much white pepper. So if you add it all, I mean you can aggressively over-season braised meat. It's not going to hurt you. Yeah, the brown liquid is chicken stock. You can just buy it. You can buy beef stock. You can buy vegetable stock. You can buy whatever you want. We'll go with some cumin. I wish I had some turmeric, but we don't have any on hand. So that's that. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Adding a little bit of vinegar to the meat, you're really not going to taste it, but it helps it get even more tender and breaks down all the stuff in the meat. So just a little splash. Anytime you're braising or you're cooking ribs or doing anything like that in water, you always add a little bit of vinegar, so that helps the breakdown process. So what we're going to do now is bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it to a simmer and put a lid on it. Very similar to cooking rice. You want to go low and slow and just let it lazily bubble for about an hour, hour and a half, and then you'll have that delicious tender meat. That is pork tenderloin. You can do the exact same thing with pork shoulder, and in fact it would taste about the same when you're braising it. I just had pork tenderloin in my freezer, so I would have used pork shoulder otherwise. Like I said, you can do that with chicken breast, you can do it with stew meat, you can do it with anything you want. It is one of the simplest, tastiest cooking methods on the planet, in my opinion. Okay, you got these beans. I'm just going to keep adding a little bit of water at a time to the beans so that they don't dry out. We're going to end up rinsing those off at the end, though. So all we did for the beans was we just rinsed them off, found any rocks in the bag, added salt and garlic powder, and we're just boiling them until they're done. I'm using Logitech, I think it's C590, C530, something like that. They never have Tenderlion on sale on Steam. Shame. My mic's right here. I'm not much of a baker. Yes, C525. There we go. Yeah, I can list them off. I use paprika, cumin, cayenne. There was one other one in there. Hold on. Paprika, cumin, cayenne. Maybe that was it. Yeah, that was it. I need salt in there too. Use some of my special sea salt. But really, you can go to town with braising stuff. You don't have to be really precise or have exact measurements. It's just something to play with so you can find flavors that work for you. White pepper, thank you. See? Everybody else knows. Forever Alone bay leaf. You know what, chicken? We're going to add a bay leaf in this bad boy. That's a good idea. That is a fantastic idea. Bam! Yeah, it won't quite be enough for all 2,000 of you, but I'll share if I can. Yes, also, I can only do it once a week. I'd only want to do it once a week. Frankly, this is a lot of work and preparation for me, so, bay leaf is kind of, it's hard to explain. It just adds, it's kind of a dull flavor. In fact, you probably wouldn't notice whether you put it in or not, but it adds, you know that taste when your tongue waters and you don't really know what it is? It's kind of that. It just adds overall flavor, kind of an herby depth, I guess would be the way to put it. Bay leaf never is a garnish. In fact, bay leaf by itself is pretty gnarly. Yeah, you never eat the bay leaf. You always take it out when it's done. I use whatever brand spices. The main thing with spices, you don't want them to get too old. I am a hermit. Rude deal. Thank you very much. I am the hermit of the internet. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Jamie. How are you? The main thing with spices is they're not too old. If they go past like 6 months, they start losing their flavor. So if you have spices that have been sitting in your cupboard for a year and a half, they probably don't taste the same as if you would have bought them in the first place. See if I want to add anything else in there. I don't think so. I think we're good. We got some weird stuff in here, man. Nope, nope, nope. Alright, so that's getting there. The beans are working. The only other thing I have to do is an apple slaw, which we're going to take our time and just chat tonight because I got a lot of downtime. Braising is not a quick cooking method, but it's very consistent and easy. It just takes time. It's a nice thing. You can sit down, watch TV, watch a stream or two, and come back in an hour and a half and your food will be done. We are making black beans, braised pork, and quinoa. I'm not working in a professional kitchen, Solidio, so I don't need a beard net. All we have is the beard spice grinder. So it's the secret. Just a little pinch. Little pinch. That being said, I'm going to wash my hands now. The chicken's laughing at me over there. Little does he know, everything he eats that I make has beard spice in it. Just a smidge. Don't worry about it. It's good for you. Builds care. Oh no. No. To add beard spice. Slow mode does absolutely nothing with this many people in here, I'm afraid to say. The only other option is sub only, which I don't want to do. It has lots of vitamin B, yes. No, I'm not showing off my tattoos. I got my tattoos for myself, not to show off. The one on my arm says mise en place, which means everything in its place. That's my, that is my cooking tattoo. How long do you think your beard will grow to the end of the year? I think it'll grow as long as it's going to be. Extract schmaltz from the chicken. You have to cook it on a very low heat to start with. If you want to make schmaltz, which is chicken fat, if you guys don't know, you take the fat from the chicken and cook it on very low heat for a long time to get your schmaltz. Yeah, go for it, chicken. I'm cooking pork right now. Cooking pork. Okay, we got a nice bubble on our pork now. So we're gonna take our lid. This is the key to braising. You don't want to lose all your liquid, because that's how you get it to tender up. You don't want to lose your liquid. So we're going to put that on there, and then put it down to a pretty low heat, and we'll check on it in a second. We're going to go like super low, slightly higher than the lowest setting, because all we want is a lazy bubble. The higher the temperature you have, the quicker it'll break down, but also less will do. What's up, chicken?
Everybody wanted me to say hi since you started, so. Yep, it's not all smoke and mirrors. We do live together. It's a true story.
It's not all smoke and mirrors. Just a little bit. It's green screen effect.
You guys like this shirt? It's my favorite right here.
Suck it, Trebek.
Awesome. Oh, somebody asked, is it okay to put hot pans on stone?
On these, yeah, you can put anything you want to on those.
The pet is mightier for 500 Trebek.
Yeah, chicken doesn't have legs. He has talons. You guys can't see. Can't see him.
I love that. Who did that graphic? I love that little.
I don't know. I don't remember. Something to drink.
Frag is chicken. Chicken is Frag.
Yes.
Frag's a couple inches taller than me.
5'11" ish, somewhere around there. Oh, you can see chicken's foot. You caught me. You caught me.
Beard herb? No, I don't.
Yes,
now
yes.
I know the secret.
He's never gonna eat my cooking again. Okay, so we're not quite high enough there. You want slightly faster than a lazy bubble. You don't want it to be super lazy, but you also don't want it to boil. It'd probably help if my burner was on.
Did this one actually go out?
Yeah, that one's done. It's 100% done. Alright, smell it. That's nice. Lazy bubble means it's just slowly popping, which usually about 180 degrees is the lazy bubble. That's the simmer period. 180 degrees is simmering, 212 is boiling, so it's somewhere in between that. Probably about 190, 192 would be ideal. But you can just look at it and figure out if it's bubbling too fast or not. Yep, lazy bubble, aka simmer. But there's different levels of simmer too. Lazy bubble is the lowest level of simmering there is. Okay, we're gonna get it.
Would you suggest for the people at home to use a thermometer?
No, I wouldn't. The only time you really want to use a thermometer is if you're doing like stock or something that you need to leave for 8-9 hours to make sure it's exactly where it needs to be. But for cooking at home, you don't need to. I mean, you could even boil it and it would still accomplish the same thing. It just wouldn't taste quite right. All right, next we're gonna grab some apples.
This is actually interesting, as I've eaten this before, but I've never made it.
What?
Apple slaw.
Oh yeah, super simple. It's just gonna be apples, lime juice, and green onions. That's all I'm gonna do. A little bit of salt. Nothing crazy. I need 1 lime. So if you have anything that oxidizes, like I don't know, avocados, apples, anything that turns brown when it sits, putting lime juice in it is a very effective way to keep it from doing that, at least for a while. Oh, don't have peeler, that's fine.
Capsaicin? Isn't that cayenne pepper?
What?
So it's
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna do that. What type of apples are those, by the way?
I don't know what type they are. No. You always want to taste at least a little piece of your apple to figure out how sweet it is, so you know how much salt and lime and stuff to ask. Pretty damn sweet. I think that's just red delicious.
No, it's not red delicious. Red delicious are
They're
darker skin
yeah,
than
they're
that.
bigger too. Usually buy those or Sugarus. Those are probably my favorite.
That could be a Fuji, maybe.
I don't think so. Alright. So for this, not gonna add, not gonna cut them up super fancy or anything. You can peel them and make them into perfect cubes or strips and stuff. Cubes are the easiest to eat when it comes to apples, at least for me. We're just gonna do this. So when you're cutting stuff, if you have to cut a lot of stuff, do one thing at a time. Make yourself nice little piles. Saves you a lot of time. Because if I cubed each one individually, we'd have to go back and do this step again, which just makes it take about twice as long.
Can you use a mandolin for this?
You could.
What's a gala apple? Somebody said.
Gala? That makes sense. Because so many different kinds of apples here in Washington, it's kind of hard to keep up with what you buy.
Slap chop, yeah, Frag.
Yeah, like totally gonna sell all you guys a slap chop right now. Because that's what I need. So we're not going for any super fancy cut or anything, just chopping. So when you're doing chopping like this, you want to make sure you hold your hand in a claw so you don't cut yourself. You don't want to cut yourself, so you're leaving your knife going off your finger into nothing. So just make a claw like this, and that's how you guide where the knife is. And that way you can never actually chop off your finger unless you stick your thumb out too far, which I've done many times.
Do you actually ever use the front of the knife?
This part?
Yeah.
Rarely. All your power points right here. That's where all your weight goes down. So the higher up you go, the less control you have over the knife.
There you go, guys. That's the right way to cut right there.
Alright, let's give another quick chop. Alright, we got apples. I'm gonna find a bowl. My hair's all nice today. I guess this will do.
Still need a beard net. Or no chest.
I don't need a beard net, thank you very much. Trying to rob the people of their beard spice. Get them out. Alright. Pull my hair back, wash my hands.
Is there legit a game called the Cooking Coach?
Yeah, there is. Alright, so we see our pot here. It looks like it's past where I want it to be, so we'll take a look. That's definitely too fast. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Like that bubble right there is exactly what you want when the lid is on. And of course, when you put the lid on, the steam hits the top and goes back down, which makes it even hotter. So I think we're just about right. Just go fast. I don't think it's not a good idea. You don't always want to go fast. Even hermit wizards make mistakes. It's true. We're not perfect. Okay, well, we're gonna taste our beans. I'm not looking for flavor here. I'm just looking for how done they are, so I can get an idea of how long I have left, which is probably a while. Probably at least 20 minutes out. I'll add a little bit more water. I wish I had a slightly bigger pot, but I don't.
Would it be better to do than covered ever?
Not really for beans. Don't really want to cover the beans because some of the stuff that evaporates is that like white, milky, weird stuff that comes out of the beans. So you don't want to put that all back into the beans. We're cooking braised pork, black beans, and apple slaw with some quinoa. So it's pretty much a complete meal. Okay, so if we leave our apples out in the air like this, they're just going to turn all brown and nasty. So we're going to solve that by using lime juice. We're going to roll our lime on the cutting board. That'll help break out a lot of the juices.
Bean milk, get it out!
And just by simply coating them in just a little bit of lime juice will stop the oxidation process, stop them from going brown. One of the main reasons you put lime juice in guacamole, not only does it make it delicious, it stops it from turning into that really gross brown color.
Lime juice is delicious anyway.
It is delicious.
Not a dog, sausage.
It's not a dog, it's a sausage. Oh, sausage cat.
Oh.
Oh, look at that big sausage. Oh, what a sausage.
So much.
Oh, you look so happy. So happy.
Enough photobomb.
Enough photobomb? Alright. Alright, check this one more time. We're right there. That's exactly what we want to see when we pull off the lid. Just a lazy bubble, not even close to a boil. Just a nice lazy bubble. That is perfect. So that's just going to take a while. It's just going to break down the meat and make it nice and tender. That is a fat cat. It is.
Hey, stop it!
Hey, your cat's fat. I'm sorry.
That's racialist.
It's a fat cat. How do you know when it's done? You just know when it's done when it's tender. So we're going to check it in a while. What's in the non-cover pot? This is black beans. Just black beans. We're just boiling them to make them done. Then we're going to drain off some of the water and mash them, and they'll be complete. Chicken's in denial. I know. He's in denial that his cats are obese. That's cool. Alright. So we got green onions. I usually do this with chives, but let's face it, green onions are a lot cheaper and they're still pretty tasty. We're going to use like... that should be plenty. Alright, so there's two parts of the green onion. You got the white part. This is usually what you saute. It doesn't taste the best by itself. Then you got the nice green part, which is the bitter, kind of garlicky, nice part. I'm going to rinse these off real quick. I say always rinse any herb or anything that you use. They do come from the ground, not always the cleanest ground, so. Alright, so this part, we're just going to cut that off. You don't want to eat the roots, those are disgusting. Okay, then we're going to go about, see how it gets slightly gets darker green. We're going to use about this much for adding to the pork. Don't really care about the cut on that because we're just going to throw it in the pot. Let's just add more oniony, garlicky flavor. that does smell delicious. Okay, there's a couple different ways you can cut green onions. Well, the starters, we're going to cut off the tops. You can see the tops are kind of gross. You want to pull off any gross stuff. You can just cut them straight like this into little rings, which is what most people do. Make little rings. What I like to do, not only for looks, but also for flavor, is if you cut them on a severe angle like this, you get really cool looking strips, and also it hits your tongue a lot more powerfully because it has more surface area. So we get little pieces like this instead. Now, you don't have to be an expert with a knife to do this. Just take your time. Just go slow. There's no rush, especially since you have your meat, which is going to take forever anyways. It's not like you have to be super fast at cutting stuff. Nor should you try until you're comfortable. Oh, excuse me. Oh, something stuck in my throat. For next Food Network star, no thank you. No, I just got something stuck in my throat. I haven't cut myself in a really, really long time. Alright, I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this, but... I do love asparagus. I do absolutely love asparagus. I think it's one of the greatest vegetables in the world. I love you all, but people are being obnoxious. I'm more than happy to talk about cooking, even when we're not doing the cooking show. I always enjoy talking about cooking. So, there's no veggie I can't stand. The way I look at food is either if I don't like something, I am more than welcome to try it again when somebody else cooks it for me, because each time you cook something is a unique experience. Your experience with one type of food might not be the same the next time you have it. Asparagus would be a fantastic example of that. I used to hate asparagus. I'd only had it when it was overcooked, and then I tried it again when it was cooked properly, and it was extremely good. So I'm always willing to try something over and over again, even if I don't like it. And yes, that would include oatmeal, even though I hate it. Maybe we'll cook some Solgren oats. Okay, so we got our green onions right here. So all we have in here is green onions, lime, and apples. That's it. Super simple. And the last piece is adding more lime juice and salt, and that'll just be a nice little side for our pork, which we are also cooking in apple cider vinegar, and all sorts of stuff that goes good with this. I think we could use a little more green onion, though. This is by no means 5-star cuisine, but it is very tasty, and it will fill you up. So with the lime juice, you're looking for the balance between sweetness and tartness. So the sweetness of the apple versus the lime juice. So the sweeter your apple is, the more lime juice you need to add to get the flavor that you want. I doubt it, Reed. I really want to focus on good stuff that's easy for people to cook. I really don't want to focus on super complex, hard stuff. Yes, I do know how to cook all that stuff from my years in kitchen in my culinary school, but I think the vast variety of people, probably 90% of people, need to learn basic cooking techniques, and those can also be very fancy and delicious. They don't have to be you don't have to be a 5-star chef to make a really good meal. So that's why we're doing braising and beans tonight, because it's something you can cook for yourself that requires very little effort or even skill. Yes, you can master it and get better at it over time, but I really don't want to focus on weird stuff or hard stuff to cook. Yeah, I can fry something on stream. Actually, frying its own art by itself. Yeah, braising is it's basically, think of it like a crock pot. That's basically what you're doing with braising, and why crock pot has been so successful. It's its own little braiser. It just takes a lot of time. It just keeps that nice, really low temperature. Is essentially what you're doing. It's the same cooking process. Okay, so we can open this up. We see we got a little bit more boil than I'd like, so we're gonna turn it down just a very small bit. I mean, that's why crockpot's so successful, because you set it and you forget it, and braising is the exact same way. You're just doing it yourself. Your food's been really good, chicken. Like, you have not cooked anything bad yet. Deep fried turducken, make Madden proud. Alright, Crumps. We'll turducken it up. I find turducken to be kind of disgusting, but I'd like to cook one in my lifetime. Lethal Chair's lonely. He's down there waiting to start the cast, so it's all good. I don't have a favorite dish to prepare. I just enjoy to cook. Right on, James Brown. Yeah, I mean, I line cooked for a long time. I've done just about everything in a kitchen there is to do, or that I want to do, I should say. Alright. So, once again, I wish I had a slightly bigger pot. The more water you have in the beans, really the easier it is the easier it makes your life. But it is what it is. I would be using this pot for the beans if I was not braising in that one. But you gotta work with what you got. Filet Megan, extra whale side of ketchup. America. I don't do very much baking at all in Cryptio. I don't have anything against baking. I understand how to bake. I just don't find it to be fun. Baking is very precise and scientific. If you can follow a recipe, you can bake. So, I like to play with my food. I don't like to follow recipes. I like to do whatever, and I don't get that freedom in baking. Like I almost never use a recipe. I just go with what I want to. Sometimes it works out better than others, but I always have fun doing it, and I always learn something every time I cook that way. Okay, so the last thing we need to add to this is just a little bit of salt, and we should also get our station cleaned up so we don't look like a slob. Always clean as you go. It just makes your life a lot easier. I'll have to do dishes tonight after I get off a cast, but that's okay. After the cooking cast, we're going to try to beat Solgren yet again. I hate that box of oats. Okay, we're going to leave this lime here just in case we want to use a little bit later. In fact, I'm just going to prove a point here. We're just going to add the lime to the braising liquid. You can literally throw anything in the braising pot that you want to, and it's probably going to be okay. You're really not going to mess it up. So there we go. More acid. Yeah, rad, man. Rad. Cooking scallop risotto? I don't know. I like scallop risotto. I like scallops more than anything. How about a full bottle of soy sauce? Well, I'll prove a point here. I'll put some soy sauce in there. We got soy sauce. We'll do it to prove a point. Yes, it is sub only right now. Yeah, I do like to cook with wine. Nothing here really requires wine, but I do like wine for a lot of cooking applications. Chat is still flying. You guys are nuts, man. I'm glad everybody enjoys this section, and I feel bad about being in sub only, but I think we all understand why. This guy just hits carry to all smoke and mirrors. That's right. I am good at making hollandaise sauce. That'd be one I'd definitely show. Though that'd probably be probably closer to like an Easter or Mother's Day or something like that, because that's kind of a hollandaise sauce isn't something you want to make every day. It's kind of a special occasion sauce because it's all butter and egg yolks. Yeah, it was lots of spam. No big deal. I don't mind, but I'm happy I have the option to go sub only if I need to. I don't like excluding people. It's just kind of it's shitty when everybody comes in and starts trolling. So, Béarnaise is a take on hollandaise sauce. Béarnaise is hollandaise with a red wine shallot reduction, and tarragon in it. So that's what it's just from hollandaise is like a mother sauce. So you can make many different sauces from that. Béarnaise is one of those. So Béarnaise is hollandaise with something added to it. Not necessarily saltier. I love Béarnaise is my favorite variation of hollandaise, so I'll have to do that one day. New York strip with Béarnaise sauce is one of my favorite meals of all time. I don't know how to make Cumberland sauce. No, I never heard of it. There's really okay. The difference between lime and lemon. I mean, lemon has I think, a more acidy taste. I just used the lime because that's what I had sitting on the cutting board, and I was just proving a point that you can really add just about anything you want to into the braising pot and be okay. You don't have to have very much fear of over seasoning, under seasoning. It's really something you can just play with and have fun with. Maybe adding that lime wasn't the right idea, but it's not going to make it so my food tastes horrible, if that makes sense. Well, you can use wine to deglaze your pans. You can use wine to just cook stuff in. I mean, every type of wine has its own flavor. Usually when you're cooking with wine, you use it to deglaze your pan and add more flavor to that, or you can reduce stuff in it. So there's lots of applications for wine. Oh yes, you could overdo the cayenne, definitely. Spice is one of the things you can't overdo. We only added just a pinch of cayenne. If I dumped like half the bottle in there, yeah, we'd have a problem. But as far as the acid, the salt, and all that stuff ratios, it's really not going to be a problem. What do I love putting in food the most? I don't know. Fish sauce mixed well with braising. Well, that'd be depends on what you're braising. Fish sauce is very, very, very potent stuff. So yes, but you have to be careful. Have I used root beer as an additive? I made a root beer, a spicy root beer sauce one time. It's pretty damn good. Yeah, I like cooking with noodles. I don't cook with noodles that often. Mostly pasta. Nice, Frag. Congrats on the Cheetahman. Okay, so olive oil, if you end up burning the olive oil or getting it past its smoking temperature, has a very bitter flavor. Butter as well burns really quick. I prefer canola oil or like peanut oil for frying. Not that you can't do it with both, but it's Mike is starting to go a little fuzzy. Let's see. Really? I just changed the battery. I just changed the battery not even a second ago. Well, alrighty then. Is it better? Okay, well it says low battery, so if it dies, just yell at me. Oh, I was leaning on the cord, that makes sense too. Just yell at me and I'll change the battery. Sunflower oil also has a very high burning temperature. So sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, canola oil, all go up very, very high. Thank you, Gally. Alright, the beans are getting there, but not quite. Now we can poke the can poke the pork and see where it's at. It's still very hard. So it's starting to break up a little bit, but not even close. Okay, what were we doing? We were adding salt. Salt to this. The one thing you need to be careful with in the applesauce is you don't want to add very much salt. Salt just pulls out the natural flavor of everything in there, so you just want a little pinch to coat it. Yeah, keep it salty. That's right, chicken. Well, and for this application, no, Skeetle, because you're literally cooking it. Oh, excuse me. You're cooking it so much that it's going past cooked and then falling apart. So if you cook this way, you never have to worry about anything being overcooked or undercooked. I do not salt my coffee, no. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I feel a little bit more comfortable with stroke. I wish I would have had time to come up with more of a, I don't know, quote-unquote game plan, have stuff written out, have a recipe list for you guys, which I don't have this week. I really hope to have that next week, but it's coming up on Christmas. It's a busy time for everybody, and I just didn't have time. Yeah, you're causing the meat to disintegrate. Well, basically, you're breaking down all the proteins on the inside of the meat, so it starts falling apart. This is the exact method that you make pulled pork out of. This is how you make pulled pork. Yeah, you can wing this one. That's actually the reason I chose this, because I knew I was going to be busy and not have as much time. This is something you can totally wing and not have any problem whatsoever. All right, let's grab these. Now move this to the back. So that'll be just about perfect. And then pull this up to the front. All right. Let's talk about quinoa here in a minute. What is quinoa? Quinoa is a nutritious whole grain substitute for rice, which is exactly what it is. Quinoa is one of the only, in fact, it is the only complete protein that is a grain. It's the only complete protein that is a grain. So it's just a nice substitute for rice. You don't see it very often in America, but if you look for it, you can find it. You can find it a lot of different places. Most grocery stores have it, but it's not going to be in the place you think it's going to be. It is a holy food. It's a superfood. Has incredibly nutritious. It's full of protein, and it's actually quite tasty. It's not like one of those weird, crazy foods that you don't really want to eat because it tastes gross. You can really do what you want with it. All you have to do to cook quinoa, and this is the best part about it, it's even easier than cooking rice, is all you have to do is add twice as much water as you do quinoa. So if I do 1 cup of quinoa, I put 2 cups of liquid, and I boil it, and it's done. You can cook it in stock, you can cook it in water. The only thing you have to be careful with quinoa is if you add something with sugar into the water, it stops the moisture from coming in, and then you end up with grainy quinoa, which is not what you want. So usually keep it simple, add just stock or water, and then you can season it afterwards. No, I didn't set up any click to tweet or anything like that. We kept it simple tonight. If you want to tweet, that's great. I knew it was going to be a busy day for me, so I didn't really have time to set up the way I wanted to. But we got there. Okay, so how does couscous compare to quinoa? That's a good point. Like, couscous is a lot more buttery, a lot bigger than quinoa. I wouldn't give them similar flavor profiles, to be honest. They're quite different. Yes, you can get a close up of the quinoa actually looks like. It is just these little seed-looking things. That's all it is right there. Just these little tiny seeds. And when you cook them, they bloom, and then they're a lot bigger. Similar to couscous, but they are much smaller. And a lot more hearty. Yes, there you go, Josh Apple. Couscous ends up kind of like buttery when you cook it right. Yes, I have PB and jams. Quinoa is just a completely blank medium, just like rice, where you can do anything with it. That's the best part about it. I'm all about the bland things because you can really do whatever you want, and that's the fun for me is the experimentation. So we got at least a couple minutes until the pork and the beans are done. So I'll just sit and talk to you guys, and we'll chill out for a little bit. I knew I was gonna have some downtime today, but that's fine because I didn't have as much time to plan. Is there any reason why quinoa is your stream food of choice? Because it's a carbohydrate and a protein. It fills you up and it makes you feel really good. So it's really a superfood. It has everything that you could possibly want in a food in one thing. You can add whatever you want to it. It's really the ideal food for streaming. There's a giant mammal attacking my fridge. Oh, I see. It gives you energy so you can be the Bashi. That's right. Yes, it is a complete protein, Professor Waffles. I'm trying to describe the texture. It's more ricey than anything, but like if the rice was cut into 4 pieces each grain. Oh, it depends on what you like pastry. I like tofu a lot, but eating cookies. Let's eat a cookie from Mr. Prixie. I'm gonna call you Miss Prixie now because you earn the title back. Thank you, lady, for the delicious holiday cookies. You can't, Rob Tillian, because I'm a realistic person. It's not realistic for me to pull out the finished product from the oven, because that would take twice as much time. I don't have a team of people working for me. This is real life right here. If you want to cook for yourself, this is what you got to do. This is all very simple stuff. Like the 3 things we're cooking today: quinoa, black beans, and braising pork. All you have to do is boil water. If you can boil water, you can make it happen. Yeah, that'd be a lot of food to make and possibly waste. This is true reality cooking for, Well, Crazed Irish, I don't think you really need to trim very much fat off. It does add flavor and consistency to the cooking. You don't want to trim all the fat off. You may want to trim off some, but all of it's not a good idea. You always want to leave a little something. Let me see if I got something else I can use in here. Doesn't think so. Nope. Oh yeah, I got another pot up here. That's where my pot went. That didn't sound good. Booyah. Yeah, half second to regret that one. Okay, it was kind of funny. I'm just going to do dishes real quick while we're here. We got a minute. Might as well do them now so I don't have to do them later. Got a sponge down here somewhere, I bet. Really? There we go. This is also the real life. You cook for yourself, you have to do dishes. But honestly, if you cook while you go, it's really not bad. It only takes a second to do dishes. It's when you let the dishes pile up in the sink for a week at a time that you have a problem. Been there and done that. As soon as the beans are done, which shouldn't be too long, we will cook the quinoa, and then we'll be done. So stick this in there. They're Chips Ahoy's cookies? I just don't know. I'm not so sure about that, Prixie. Also, Mid, if you want to make your woman happy, do your own dishes. They kind of appreciate that. It only takes a second. Nobody likes doing dishes, but it really only takes a second. Do your own dishes when you're done cooking. The beans have been done for a while. He's just procrastinating on Abashi. You caught me. You caught me. I'm feeling really good about beating that Solgren fight, to be perfectly honest. I'm just, I am also dreading it at the same time. I am also dreading it. Okay, we got a really nice boil going on the beans now. That should speed up the process quite a bit. Yes, just use paper plates and have no dishes to clean. That is the way to go, Taku. Good for you, Srogue. I've made pierogi before, yeah. I don't consider myself a master at any particular food, to be perfectly honest. I just kind of, I don't know, I wing it. Entire stream using only the microwave? That sounds like a horrible idea. Yeah, the fuzz is here, watch out. We got the police up in here. Fair enough, Itaku. I prefer hand doing my dishes because, I don't know why. I just find it takes as much time. If you're going to rinse off your plate to put it in the dishwasher, it's like, how much extra time does it do to put soap on it? It's really not bad. I can make sushi, but I would not consider that simple. That'd be way down the road. I'm trying to do simple stuff right now. Like right now we got 2 pots boiling, and that's it. I have permission to do this, and the reason I do is I'm primarily a gaming channel, and I always will be primarily a gaming channel. It's just a couple hours a week, and I stream for 50, 60 hours a week. So this is, you know, 2.5 hours of time, which is more than available. Yeah, this is actually Cooking Coach. There you go. Well, it depends on what kitchens you work in, voice in my head. Most kitchens have a executive chef and a sous chef, and then all your worker bees. But if you work in like a classical kitchen, there's there's names for every station. Chicken marsala is not difficult to cook, no. We are cooking braised pork, black beans, and quinoa. So this is 3 different things that all you have to be able to do to cook these is boil a pot of water. If you can boil a pot of water, you can cook all this. Okay, my beans actually have a nice rolling boil right now, which makes me really happy because that means they're actually going to get done. I mean, I do other stuff that's not gaming, like the AMA and stuff. Yeah, there's no real ratio. That's what I was told as well. It was just, I mean, I can't be a cooking channel, nor would I want to be. I got into this to cook, but I am primarily 90+% a gaming channel, which is the way it should be if I'm on Twitch TV. and that's what I want anyways. I don't want to cook for a living again. I'm just trying to spread the love of cooking, because I think more people should cook for themselves. It's really an effective way to save money and make really tasty food. A rocket surgeon? Get out of here, chicken. You're drunk. I want you to be done, beans. Okay, we're going to take a look at our pork, which is a bubbling away. It's definitely, I can stick the spoon into it now, which means it's getting, oh yeah, it's starting to tender up quite a bit. Now this is well beyond cooked. So we're right there with that. Just stick my fingers into the boiling liquid like a real man. That's all you do to test it, is you just pull it apart and taste it. I must say, it tastes pretty good. When I was actually cooking, oh god, we do some crazy stuff. I mean, like, you come to a certain point when you're like a line cook and stuff that your hands are just so calloused and burned, like you don't even care anymore. Like I would literally stick my finger in the water and pull out the pork if I wanted to, but not anymore. I have little baby hands now. Little baby hands. If you throw it hard enough at your monitor, we might get some. Okay, so we're gonna do the quinoa now because we're about 15 minutes out on everything. So quinoa, as always, when you measure stuff with a dry measure, always use a dry measuring cup. You know what? We don't even want, do we? Yeah, we'll do a cup. Why not? Holy shit. Now, quinoa you have to rinse off because it comes from the ground, and if you don't get all the dirt off of it, it tastes really, really disgusting. It makes it like this cloudy, milky white, like you're putting dirt in your mouth. So you have to make sure you get it rinsed off really good. If you don't, you're going to have bad time. Laura's going to push that down. And we'll let that drain for another second. The ratio is really important on quinoa. It's 2 to 1, 2 times as much liquid as you have grain, and all you have to do after that is boil it. I have drank mead before. I've never used it in cooking though. Chatia burned ramen in the microwave. That is intense. That is intense. What's up, Mr. Morag? Terra Tragedy, thanks for being here. Yeah, it's definitely worth picking up and trying out. It's a super simple food. I mean, you can literally have it with like soy sauce or salt. You can even put butter in it. It's really good. It's just a nice alternative to rice that actually makes you feel good when you eat it. QU, here, I'll type it out here. It's not going to be in the rice section of the store. I don't even remember where you find it. I usually buy it at like Costco. It's a little bit easier to find. It depends on what store you go to. Most stores have it, but it's not where you think it is. Alright, go for it. Go for it, chicken. What? Yeah, I know, them cats, man. Okay. Now, beans. Okay, so we got this all rinsed off.
Never had it before, so I won't knock it, but it looks weird.
Of course it looks weird. You haven't had it before.
Oh, yes. Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah, people don't believe me that he walks around the chicken hat when he's not casting. He does. He does. He just wears it around all the time.
Surgically attached to my head.
It's surgically attached to his head, he says. Okay, so when we measure liquid stuff, you always want to get level with what you're measuring, because if you don't get down in level, you mess up the ratio. Not the hugest deal with quinoa, but there we go, nice and even. So we took 1 cup of quinoa for 2 cups of stock, and then all you have to do is put it on the burner and boil it. Be cool if you light. There we go. I don't really wear my Adventure Time hat all the time unless it's Christmas time, then it's a Santa hat. Good for you, man. Good for you. What is in the container on the cutting board? We have a little apple slaw for this little side dish for our pork. All it is chopped up apples, green onions, lime juice, and salt. And that is it. We can start cleaning up a little bit. And by the time the quinoa is done and rested, we will have a complete meal. Also add some salt. Honey nuts, it really depends on what it is. Most of the time, you really don't need to stir stuff that often. I mean, I've stirred it probably 3 or 4 times now. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be really intense about stirring everything. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't get stirred. I mean, some things you don't want to stick. Like if you're cooking pasta, you have to stir it all the time so it doesn't stick together. But beans are going to cook as fast as beans are going to cook, pretty much regardless of what you do. Okay, we're getting close. Yeah, it'd be in the dry storage area. It's just a grain, so. I have not used farro in a really long time, Frugals. It's been a really long time since I've used it. Yeah, we got braised pork, black beans, and quinoa. Let's take a look at this. I think we're just about all the way done. We can pull our bay leaf out now. You never want to eat a bay leaf. It's not a pleasant experience. So we added pretty much everything but the kitchen sink to this. It's pretty tasty. We added what? Lime juice, cayenne, cumin, white pepper, salt, a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's not quite there. We're going to let it sit for a minute. Almost, though. Almost. Everything should be done right about the same time. Let's add the kitchen sink just to prove a point. I don't think we're going to do that today. Bay leaf challenge is now born. I never had pastry. It sounds interesting, though. Bosser Bud, I really enjoyed. Yeah, that's my jaw clicking. My jaw clicks, by the way. I really enjoyed cooking for a living. I will just say that it does not pay the best, and it's very hard work. So unless you really enjoy cooking, you're just gonna have a bad time with it. So make sure that you enjoy it. I mean, if you love to cook, you're gonna love working in kitchens. But if not, you're just gonna have a bad time. I do like fudge, yeah. If you don't like cooking, don't cook, I guess. But I don't know. Kitchen work is very, very hard. You end up working a lot of holidays. You work a lot of hours. It's very hot. You're around very aggressive people all the time. So it's definitely something that you have to love and are confident in doing. Otherwise, you get walked all over. Kitchens are extremely stressful, yes. Yeah, and be excellent to each other, man. I have a lot of tattoos, Red Dead. We are in sub only right now, yes. I can imagine fast food restaurant being a lot of high school. I mean, pretty much every kitchen you go to, though, lots of very aggressive people, lots of big egos. Um, it's not easy work by any means. Thank you, Neslo. Appreciate it. We are cooking braised pork, black beans, and quinoa. All three things that you just need to be able to boil water to make. That's right. Taste, 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 and taste again. Everything you cook, always taste it. Mm-hmm. That is just the bubbles and a little bit of the, I guess you call it scum from the chicken stock. It separates a little bit, so that's probably some of the fat and the other stuff that's in the chicken stock. Chef being a dick, you don't say. You do not ever cover quinoa. It is that's why it's easier to cook than rice, because you can look at it the entire time. You just boil all the water off. That's right, scumbag Frag. Heard it here first. I don't really have a favorite celebrity chef. I don't think many celebrity chefs translate to real world cooking. I mean, if I was doing an actual cooking show right now, I would put all this stuff on the oven, and then I'd open the oven and say, here's our completed meal, which is not really the reality of cooking at home. Not saying there aren't any great chef teachers out there. I just don't find that celebrity chefs right now are really that much into teaching actually how to cook food. It's all smoke and mirrors. Indeed, Eddie Ruckus, he put in his time. He put in his time. Yes, my jaws click when I chew. It's because I grind my teeth all the time. See you later, Otaku. Have a great one, sir. Thank you for hanging out. Alright, we got everything cleaned up pretty much. Pretty much. Can rinse off my knife. Alright, the beans gotta be close now. They gotta be close. Now, my jaw's always clicked. It's actually quite painful, but it is what it is. That's life. Timing's gonna be just about right. As soon as everything's gonna finish at the same time, which is exactly what you want. But let's have a quick recap of what we've done. We've braised pork, we've cooked black beans, we're cooking quinoa. These are all things you just have to boil water to make. And the great thing about that is that You can walk away and do other things while you cook. I mean, I've been standing here talking to you guys. I could have put this on the stove, gone down and streamed for an hour and a half, and came back up and finished it. So it's not something that's super intrusive for you to make. You can put it on the stove and forget about it, go about your day, come back and have delicious food. But I didn't. I sat here and talked to you guys, so love you. What's up, Cobalt? Yep, indeed, Xander. You get really painful bites every once in a while. Yep, 18-inch global chef knife is the name of the one I use. I had a 12-inch chef knife as well. I ended up giving it to a friend that was going to culinary school. That was the first global knife I got, and I got the 18-inch after that. Honestly, bot stock is not. It's not bad. It's not bad or good. It's in kitchens. You usually cook it yourself because it's a lot cheaper that way. But it's a pretty gross process to make your own stock. It takes a long time. You usually leave it on overnight or at least 6 hours simmering. So yeah, they're great quality paranormal. I've had that knife for over 4 years now, and I still haven't sharpened it. It's due for a sharpening, but they hold their edge forever. What's up, Sushi Mang? We are cooking black beans, braised pork, and quinoa. We're winding down the end. We're winding down the end of the show. Everything should finish at approximately the same time, which is great. It's exactly what we want. Oh yeah, I'll show you how to use a steel. That's actually a really good thing to show. Sure. How you use a steel. A lot of knives have a guard on them. Let's see if I can demonstrate here. You want to use the steel at like a 20-degree angle. So the purpose of this edge on the edge of the steel, you're supposed to put your knife up against it and then lean. Well, guys can't even see that. So let's put the knife up against it and then lean it down. And this is the angle that you're supposed to hit the steel at. So you see chefs do it really fast because they're used to doing it at the right angle. But you're just supposed to bring it down at I believe it's 20-degree angle. So that's your mark right there at how tilted it's supposed to be. And then you're just basically what you're doing with this is you're not sharpening the knife. This is not sharpening the knife. Every time you make a cut, you get micro abrasions on the edge of the knife. So there's these tiny little micro fractures at the edge of the blade, and this breaks down the micro fractures and makes the edge clean again. So it keeps your knife sharp longer because one of those little tiny niches in the blade, if you don't steel it, can turn into an even bigger one and a bigger one, and eventually a chip. So that's why you hone your blade after you use it. Almost every steel has that guard on it, which gives you the right angle. Most people don't know that. Some of them have a little more obvious, like it has one side that's curved, so you can actually put it on there. Not too much pressure at all, Noshpan. You're really just trying to wipe the edge of the blade. You're not trying to. The more you do it, the better. It's not going to hurt anything if you're doing it properly. You want to do it at least every time you cook. I mean, especially after you cut tomatoes or anything where you're pressing a lot of power into the blade, you always want to do it. There's no problem stealing a wet knife, no. I mean, sharpening your blade's a whole different deal. I just take mine to a professional to get it done because it's not exactly easy. And if you mess it up with a really nice knife, you're gonna have a problem. But yeah, steel's something everybody should own. They're pretty cheap. They're usually about 10, 15 bucks, and it will keep the life of your knives at least double them, if not more. No worries, she described making braised pork, black beans, and quinoa. It's an extremely high protein, really easy meal to make. How you doing today, Jesus? Well, Paranormal Pixel, basically, if you want to sharpen a knife yourself, you have to have a whetstone. It's usually called a tri-stone. It has 3 different edges on it. Then you have to run the blade across at a perfect angle on each side over and over again to achieve the blade. You take it to somewhere professional. They either have a machine they run it through, or they have a grind wheel with somebody that's sharpened a lot of knives that does it perfectly every time. So. More so sharpening during pastry. You're not really taking much off of the knife with the steel. When they get sharpened, that's when the edges are getting ground down. Steel should never shorten the length of your knife. And even then, you can get years out of a knife, even if you have it sharpened every week, which is something like a regular kitchen would do, is have somebody come in every month or every 2 weeks to sharpen the knives. Yeah, I'll definitely eat some. I haven't eaten today, so what I'll do when I'm done is I'll go load up the other computer, and go live, and then eat, and then get online. But thank you very much for joining me, everybody. You can usually find one in the phone book. A lot of places go like out to grocery stores and stuff like that. Also, another place you can go for is find a place that sharpens barber's scissors, because they do the same angle as knives. What I look for in a knife, I'll show you right now. I like the one-piece knives, like Wustavs and stuff like that, have the additional hilt in the blade, and that's perfectly fine. But the main thing you look for is balance. You want your knife to balance right there on the hilt. So, yeah, it's not quite there. That's what you look for in a knife. That's a well-balanced knife, and that's how you know it's well made, because the front portion and the back portion are the same weight. That gives you the best balance when you're cutting. Some people prefer heavier blades, or they prefer heavier hilts. It's really all just personal preference, but that's what I look for. And also, I mean, holding the edge you can't really put a price on. That's why I like Global so much. They just keep their edge for so long. Yeah, I'll also upload this to YouTube after tonight's cast, so if you missed something, I'll have an ingredients list posted on YouTube as well. What's the notch in the blade? What do you mean by that? I have never used a ceramic blade, so I can't tell you one way or another. Yeah, butcher shops are great too. Well, some knives do have a notch, and if it has a notch in the end right here, it's usually for meat cutting knives. There's a notch on the bottom. That's to catch blood and stop it from running onto your hand. Alright, we see our quinoa is getting a lot less liquid now. I'll pull a little bit out with a spoon and show you too that it's now opened up. So remember, it was a super tiny small grain before, and now let's see if I can get this. We're there. Hey, we're gonna get there. Now you see it's opened up. You can see the little kernel in the center, kind of. There it is. You can see the little kernel in the center. And you know it's done when it's soft. It's not quite there yet, but it's close. Good. I'm glad you learned something. That's what I'm here to do. I really don't want to. I'm not doing this to be a famous chef. I just like to show people how to cook some basic stuff for themselves, because more people should know how to cook at least some basics. I think cooking for yourself is very rewarding and also saves a ton of money over the long term. Okay, I'm gonna do our final piece here. What I'm gonna do, I usually don't do this. You don't have to do this. We're going to end up mashing the beans. Let's hope this fits. Actually, that's perfect. We're going to dump off some of this bean water. I usually just mash it in the bean water, but since I have chicken stock left over and I know I'm not going to use it for anything, we're going to drain that off. We're going to add chicken stock back in, and then we're going to mash it with that. Because we might as well. I usually just add a couple more seasonings like cumin or something, and then just mash it with the bean water. But if we have like, extra stock left over, it's definitely not going to hurt anything. So, oh balls, that spill. Okay, so the quinoa is mostly done. You can see that it's mostly done. There's not very much water left in the pot. It's just kind of slapping around in there. Give it another minute, and then we'll cover it. When you're done cooking quinoa, you taste it. If it's soft, you put a lid on it for at least 5 minutes, just like you would rice, and let it sit on the counter, and then it'll be finished. Yes and no. I mean, the more you cook, then the less of that you have. But draining the water off definitely will remove some of that. But I honestly don't mind it. I've eaten just about anything. My intestinal fortitude is pretty strong. Yes, this is quinoa, which is now finished. Put a lid on that. Let it sit. So we're just about done. I'll cook myself a plate, and then I will go start the cast downstairs. When we're done here, I'll have to come up and finish putting the stuff away and whatnot, and then we'll be back to fighting Solgren, that bastard. I hope you all are having a good time tonight. I'm just not as prepared as I would have liked to be. I know, you guys are the best. I feel really bad about going sub only, but frankly, people are really obnoxious and trolly, and I'm here to accomplish something, which is show you guys how to cook, and I can't do that when people are spamming. I have granite countertops, so I can leave whatever I want on the countertops. That's probably the main benefit of them. If you do have like ceramic countertops or whatever, linoleum, you definitely don't want to do that. But granite, you can put whatever on. Yeah, it's not personal, and the purpose of this is just to document it so people can do it later. It's not not so much interaction. Become the Bashi, then eat the Bashi. I'm gonna beat Bashi, and then I'm just gonna eat a whole box of Solgren oats with a spoon. I mean, honestly, the chat is still moving moving at a very fast pace. But honestly, hour and a half is a little bit sooner than I thought I'd be done. This is actually a really good pace for the stream for me. So I was expecting the pork to take about an hour and a half itself. I gotta find my potato masher too before we do this. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. We'll give that like another 5 minutes, and then we'll mash it, and we'll be good. The basic utensils you'd advise a beginner to get, well, you gotta have pots and pans. You want at least one big pot, one little pot. You need a chef's knife, that is the bare minimum, a nice big cutting board, and that's really all you need to get started. Yeah, no liquids, just oats. We're just going to eat straight oats. We don't need liquid in there. Screw cooking it. We're getting this done now. What's it like cooking with a beard? It feels really weird. 'Cause if I was in a kitchen, I could not have this beard. Frankly, it's kind of obtrusive sometimes when you're cooking or eating even. Get food stuck in it. Well, sure, steel's nice to have, but we're talking about bare minimum. Knife, steel, cutting board, large pot, small pot. You can probably do most things that you need to. You know, Xander, I really don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Christmas and Christmas Eve, but honestly, a lot of people don't have family in town. I don't think getting viewers on Christmas and Christmas Eve is going to be a concern. Not that it is a concern for me, but I think there's a lot of people that aren't close to their family, aren't able to be with their family, a lot more than you'd think. Not really warp code, not for the home cook. Not for the home cook, there's really not that much of a difference. Christmas with the Frags. Well, I have family stuff to do on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, of course, but the in-between times I'll be live. Cook, you bastard. Masher. There we go. That's cool, Strogue. Oh shit, sorry. Add a little more salt. Salt, cumin. Black beans and cumin go together really well for me, but that's my personal preference. I like cumin a lot. A lot of people think it's really overbearing, but that's not me. There we go. Do that. Yep, so we'll pull this over and open up the lid, so I'm sure it's nice and rested now. This is our braised pork, so all we really did was cook it in the liquid. Now it's nice and tender and falling apart. It probably could have cooked for another half hour or so, which we don't really have, but the liquid is delicious. We put everything in here. We put onions, garlic, we put soy sauce, lime juice, apple cider vinegar, cayenne pepper, cumin. You can really go to town with braising. It's not going to make the meat taste bad. Okay, so now we're going to take the beans. We're going to mash them. You don't have to mash them. This is just how I like to do it. I really like that nice bean flavor to get all through the liquid. Then we're going to let them cook for another minute, because they didn't cook quite as long as I would like. Probably like another 15-20 minutes to be good, but ain't a big deal. But if we break them up a little bit, it'll help them finish cooking a little bit faster. Yeah, some spices have different names in different countries. Like, what was the one last week? Somebody said something was, on the YouTube comment, they said something was named weird where they lived. Not on these countertops, but most countertops, yes, it is very bad to put hot stuff on them. Thank you, Black Firecracker. Whole peppercorns, only if I'm going to make a sachet bag, otherwise they're very potent, and it's definitely not something you want to eat. Cilantro is called coriander. Okay. Well, coriander is cilantro seed here. Okay, we're just going to keep mashing this till its liquid cooks off a little bit, and then we'll have a complete meal. We have grain, vegetables, and meat, and we only had to boil it. Okay, that's getting real close. All I'm doing here is mashing up the beans and, I don't know, getting them a different consistency. You don't have to mash them. I like to mash mine. I really like that deep bean flavor. It's almost bitter, but not quite. Okay, we're gonna take this, have myself some dinner. Yes, I have had poutine before. It's quite good. Yes, you can turbo the beans instead of mashing them if you really want to. Yeah, so I could have cooked a little more liquid out of the quinoa, but it is done, which is the important part. Oh yeah. And quite tasty. Okay. Don't forget, Chicken come get some if he wants. It's up to him. Well, that'll do it.
That quinoa is scary.
Taste it, taste it, taste it, taste it.
Oh, you went a completely different direction than what I thought you were going to do with this, to be honest. I just realized that now. Huh.
There we go. That's dinner.
That doesn't look like filet mignon and ketchup to me.
No, it's not filet mignon and ketchup.
Chicken grabs it.
You would. Thank you, Malachite. Appreciate it. Chicken's scared of the quinoa. Oh yeah, it's gonna be so scary and horrible.
It smells like dirt.
Whatever, dude.
It doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah,
It's like rubber.
it's like rice.
What'd you put in there?
Just chicken stock and
It's
salt.
actually not bad.
Yeah, I told you this guy's fucking. You can actually cook it.
Dirt, though.
You can actually cook it a little more than that.
It's pretty good. Here. I'm not a scumbag. I was just.
This guy's a total scumbag. Total scumbag. Scumbag. Scumbag chicken. I'm just gonna put all this shit in here. How it is.
So what do you do with the sauce that's in
You don't have to do anything with that. I could have taken the liquid there and cooked this in it. That'd make it really tasty. But that would have taken an extra half hour or so. So we didn't.
So you're just gonna, well, excuse me, or I was thinking you could reduce it and
Yeah.
make it like a sauce. That looks really colorful too, the red and green. Alright, anyway, it's good. I'm sorry, I was scared to try it.
Chicken says it's good. He was scared. He was scared. He hates new things. He hates change.
Quinoa is good, everybody. Good.
Heard
There you go.
it here first. Nobody ever. Your hair smells so good. Nobody ever believes me when I say my hair is clean. My hair is really clean. Well, thank you very much, Madam Answer. I will when I post this to YouTube, I will add a complete recipe. Well, not exactly a recipe. I'll post the ingredient list, and that'll be what I'll post. I'm driving chicken crazy over here. All right. This one's not too hot at all. Cool all that down. That's gonna be my new kitchen troll. I'm just gonna leave the burner on for you guys. I'm gonna leave the burner on. God forbid I ended the cast with the burner on. God forbid. That could be my new troll. I'll just leave it on real low for a while. And then I'll put a towel right next to it, and right when it lights on fire, I'll turn the cast. I'll turn the cast off. Like, I'll see you downstairs, guys. Boom. I like this idea. I approve. All right, guys. Well, I hope you had a wonderful time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go turn off this cast. I'm going to go load up the Boshi cast. I'm going to take a minute to eat for myself, and we'll get started on some Solgren attempts. I hope you guys had a great time tonight. I had a wonderful time cooking some braised pork. I hope that was educational for you guys. No problem, Encryptio. Like I said, you can do it with chicken, pork, stew meat. Any type of meat you can cook that way and have it be tender and delicious. So definitely something to play with and something that does not take up a lot of your time. So hopefully next week I'll have an actual ingredients list posted. I'll have more of a plan so I can talk about more stuff. But I had a good time tonight. I think I got across everything I wanted to. So thank you very much for being here today. I'll be back on in like a couple minutes. I'm going to load up the cast and then go AFK to eat. So I'll be back in just a minute. Thank you all for your patience. Going to turn off subscriber only mode, release the Kraken. I love all of you, and we'll be back shortly. I will load the stream back up in about 1 minute. Enjoy the chat explosion.